how to get the most from your polishing pads. Hi, I'm Yvan Lacroix, and this is the Detailer's Business Academy, where we strive to take you from detailer to entrepreneur. Now, one of the biggest expenses that detailers face is polishing pads. We go through a lot of them, and some of us have actually too much of a variety of pads. That said, caring for your pads is something we need to do, and something if you learn to do properly, your pads are going to last you a lot longer and cost you a lot less. One of the big issues with caring for pads is, how do we do it? Well, there's a few different ways. One is compressed air. And if you're using a microfiber pad, compressed air is fine. If you're using foam, please don't use compressed air. Now, a lot of people do use compressed air, and some manufacturers actually recommend it. But when you look at how a pad is structured, then you realize that compressed air is not the best option. Polishing pad, foam polishing pad, is specifically a bunch of little bubbles. And when you throw compressed air at it, you break the bond between those little bubbles. And when you break the bond between the bubbles, it does a few things. A, it softens the pad. And by softening the pad, it's because those little bubbles are burst. Those joints between each bubble are no longer existent. It's not something that you see, but it's something that you can feel. The other thing that it does, it degrades the performance of the pad. So your pad is not going to perform as well as it should. And finally, it significantly cuts the life of your pads down. And if you cut the life of your pad down, it's going to cost you more because you're going to need more pads. Now, another popular way of cleaning pads that, again, shouldn't be done is using a pressure washer. Now, compressed air you can use on microfiber pads, going across the surface, not blowing into them because they all have a foam backing. But to clean the fibers off, compressed air will work there. But the pressure washer, no. No matter what type of pad you're using, don't use a pressure washer. Again, it has the same problems as with the compressed air, but at the same time, you're definitely going to be damaging the foam even if you're using it on something else. And for a wool pad, it's not good. It's not good for anything. So the pressure washer, reserve it for cleaning the car, not your pads. Now, back to compressed air for one other little thing. Using compressed air usually puts loads of dust in the air. Dust that has negative effects to your polishing, to your health, and your environment. So, what's the best way of cleaning a pad? And I'm going to go a little beyond what I normally do here. Normally on this channel, I don't recommend specific products. This is one instance where I feel I have to, because there actually is only one tool on the market that I feel works properly for cleaning your pads, and that is the Lake Country Manufacturing System 4000. Now, I don't have an affiliate link down below. There are a lot of places you can buy it. Choose the one you want and buy it there. That being said, the Lake Country System 4000 pad washer is the evolution of the System 3000. And if you have a System 3000, no need to upgrade now. When your System 3000 eventually wears out, then you can upgrade to the 4000. But it's not a necessity to change. It's a big evolution, but not that big of an evolution. Now, the System 4000 pad washer, what makes it so great that I'm actually recommending it? First of all, unlike all the other pad washers on the market, it doesn't recirculate the fluid. No, you're always cleaning your pad with fresh fluid. So if you're cleaning your pad with fresh fluid, it is actually getting clean. There are other pad washers on the market, and they work, but they recirculate the same fluid over and over and over again, meaning that you're not actually cleaning the pad after you've done your first pad because you're reusing the same liquid. Now, the System 4000 pad washer has a few other things going for it. It's easy to use, it's fast, it's simple, and it works on any type of pad. So be it the microfiber pad, your foam pads, and that's a flat surface pad, a waffle pad, a hex pad, it doesn't matter. It works with any brand of pad, any flavor, any size of pad, and it works very well. The one thing that the System 4000 doesn't do is damage your pads. So unlike compressed air, unlike some of the other pad washers on the market, it actually makes your pads last longer. So your pads are going to stay in shape a lot longer. One thing about using a pad washer that a lot of people skip over is that they use it just when they're done the job. No, your pad washer should be used during the job. And here are a few reasons. First of all, never put clean polish on a dirty pad. If you were polishing single stage paint, so you're starting off with a white pad, you put it on the red single stage, which is probably pink by now, start polishing, and immediately your pad turns red. What is your first reaction? I want to clean the pad. And that's a good reaction to have. But when you're polishing clear coat, you're getting the same buildup on the pad. You're getting the same amount of transfer. It's just you don't see it because it's clear. And you should have that same reaction of, ooh, I want to clean my pad. And that's a great reaction to have. So having a pad washer beside you as you're polishing will actually increase your polishing speed. It will definitely increase the quality of your polishing and reduce some of the things like micro-marring or swirling or odd effects that you might get on the paint because you're working with a clean pad. Now, washing your pad on the go has other advantages. Take a foam pad, brand new foam pad. Check the feel of the pad, how stiff it is. Then wash it in your pad washer. Spin it dry, or till it's damp. You're never going to get it perfectly dry, but spin it out and then check the pad. And you'll see also that the user experience, so the polishing, is actually easier with a clean pad, with a slightly dampened pad. And that slight dampening has a lot of other positive effects to your polishing. First of all, it cools your pad down. Cooling the pad means you're actually going to cut faster, you're going to cut better, and you're going to cut cleaner. So you want to keep the surface as cool as possible. The other aspect of having your pad clean is now your abrasives are working as they should, as they're designed. They're not fighting against residue in the pad. Additionally, a damp pad, as I mentioned before, is a little softer, so it's going to follow the contours of the vehicle much better and give you better contact. Better contact means faster cutting. Faster cutting means happier you because you're getting the job done faster. Now, in your pad washer, there are a few different things you can do to make cleaning the pad easier. One of them is a dedicated pad washing product. Now, with the System 4000, you'll get some Snappy Clean. It's a great product and it works wonderfully well. And you can buy it from Lake Country and many other suppliers. That is probably the best thing you can do. If you don't have that, use a rinseless wash. You don't want to use a soap. You want a rinseless wash that doesn't have any sudsing effect because the suds will have a negative effect on your pad and your polishing. You want one that rinses out cleanly. The other thing that you can use is just a spray of APC. So spray the APC on your pad first and then clean your pad. Now, one other great side effect of the cooling effect of the pad washer is your Velcro on your backing plate and your Velcro on your pads is going to last longer. Why? The answer is simple. When you're polishing, you're creating heat. Now, yes, you're creating heat from the friction between the surface of the car and the pad, but the Velcro holding the pad is also creating an enormous amount of heat. When using a dual action polisher, this is actually a very big concern. Because what happens is all of those little hooks, every single one of them, every time the pad changes direction, because it's a dual action, every time it changes direction, creates a bit of friction. And those little hooks heat up. Now, if you remove your pad immediately when you're done polishing and look at the surface, if you have a white Velcro on your pad, you'll probably see little black specks in it. Those are the hooks from the Velcro on your backing plate that you just ripped off. And eventually your pads will wear out. Not because of the foam wearing out, but because of the Velcro that's ripped apart. Now, changing backing plates, changing pads because they don't stick together anymore is not efficient and it's not cost effective for you. The other aspect, and this is something I did in my shops that I don't see many detailers using. We use the pad washer all the time. Being said, we never changed the pad on the machine unless it was worn out. So we could get 10 or 20 cars out of a pad. But we used a different machine for every pad. In our shops, we used 3 different pads. So we had our cutting pad on a 21 millimeter stroke DA. we had our one-step pad on a 21mm stroke DA, and we had our finishing pad on a rotary. And that's how we worked. So the employee, instead of changing pads on the machine, would just change machines. But he always had the pad washer beside him. And that pad washer was in use constantly. So do a section, clean the pad, apply more polish, do another section. And that 10 or 15 seconds you're going to use to clean the pad is going to be time very well spent, because you're going to save so much time in your polishing that it's going to make you more money by doing it. So the pad washer isn't a cost. It's not something that you're spending money on. It's an investment. It's an investment that's going to pay you a lot in the long run. It's going to do so by making your polishing more efficient, making your polishing pads last longer, using less abrasive. And speaking of using less abrasive, a lot of people do the pad priming thing. So they put their polishing abrasive heavily on the pad and then massage it in, and then from there add more polish. What that does is creates dust. It loads up the pad so the pad isn't cutting as designed. So there are a better way of priming your pad is simply moistening it in the pad washer. So use the pad washer, slightly lift off, and then rev the machine up to its full speed for just a few seconds. It's not a long process. When no more water is being expelled from the pad, then you simply apply your polish to the pad and start polishing. And no, the dampness in the pad is not going to damage the polish, is not going to have a negative effect on anything. Even the weight of the pad, it's less than a gram of moisture that stays in the pad. So it's not going to affect anything in terms of the balance, especially with the DA. Now, as I said in the beginning, slightly different episode. We're going to go out to the shop and I'm going to show you the System 4000 pad washer and how it works. So come along. Now, you'll have to excuse the shop. It's not a detailing shop anymore. I'm building a bus at the moment. The bus is our home, and we're going to be touring North America in the bus, doing trainings once we're allowed to. But until then, it's a bus building shop. It's not a detailing shop, so there's a bit of dust and tools laying around. But in the meantime, come take a look at the System 4000 pad washer, and we'll talk about it and see if it's something for you.
So here we are in the shop. As I said, we're building a new bus. If you'd like to see that, go to Lacroix Cruiser on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever. Anyways, that being said, the System 4000 pad washer. What has changed between the 4000 and the 3000? Couple very important things. First of all, the pump seal here is different and a lot more effective than it was before. The other thing that's changed is the handle. They actually went to a handle that you can have this on it and use the handle at the same time. But the big change is up here. First of all, it's a different type of plastic. It's going to be longer lasting. The mechanism underneath is improved. The pump is improved. And this little ring here doesn't look like much, but the System 3000 had these flaps that you would close to keep it from spraying everywhere. This ring is as effective, 95%, as those flaps, but it doesn't get in the way, and it makes it so you can even use a big wool pad on your rotary and get it in there. So very simple to use. In the bottom of here, you're going to put water and Snappy Clean. So this product here works wonderfully. And when you put the water in there, you're not going to fill this bucket up because you have this inter bucket. So the way the System 3000, or the way the System 4000 works, also the System 3000, is first of all, you have your water in the bottom with the Snappy Clean. And we'll put the Snappy Clean in here. So you want to put it in. And it's a powder. I don't have this full like I normally would, so I'm not going to put a full packet in, because I'm not polishing these days. No, I'm working on a bus. So now that the Snappy Clean is dissolved, because as we mentioned, it's a powder, so it's going to eventually dissolve, and once it dissolves, you're good to go. Now, the System 4000 has this bucket. The System 3000, you could get it without this bucket, and if you got it without the bucket, get a bucket. It makes a big difference. What this does is it separates the clean solution from the used solution. So the solution that we've used to clean the pads does not intermix with the clean solution. So you're always cleaning your pad with clean solution. That's very important. Now here's the pump, and the pump, there's no real servicing required. Once a year, remove these 5 screws and clean this thoroughly inside, especially if you're using wool or microfiber pads, because it'll get jammed up with the fibers, and they'll block these holes and keep the water from going down. And when you're putting this in, you want to be sure to align that hole properly, not just jam this in. So we just align it with the hole, rotate it so these notches go together, and then snap it in. Once you've done that, you want to prime your pump, and it's a displacement pump. So if you're going very slowly and not putting any speed to it, you're not going to get any flow out of the pump. You need to displace it quickly to get flow. And now I have flow. And to give you an idea, I'm going to get a little wet here, but this is how it displaces. So it displaces a lot of moisture or a lot of liquid. Now, when we're cleaning a pad, it doesn't matter what machine we're using. You can be using a combination machine like the Udos, a rotary, a DA, it's all the same. And here we have a dirty pad. And this pad was last used, maybe 4 months ago. So this compound has been drying on here for 4 months. Let's see what it looks like when we clean. So what we want to do is give it 3 or 4 good hits. So now we've got, you can see the moisture coming out of the pad. Then turn the machine on, and you'll want to go fairly low speed. Speed 2 or 3, something like that. And you're just moving it around the platen. You're not putting a lot of pressure. But what you're doing as well at the same time is when you don't see any more moisture coming out of the pad, give it another quick little hit like I did as I was running it, and you'll see then more of the compound and paint residue coming out. And when you don't have any more residue coming out, you lift it up just a little bit, just so it's not touching. Crank the speed up. And now we have a perfectly clean pad. Now this works with many different items. You've got the foam pads. You can use it with a microfiber pad. You can use it with a wool pad. Wool pad like this, and I've got it set at a 21mm stroke DA. So we'll add a bit of liquid to it, and then you can see all that's coming out of this pad. Now we have a nice new clean pad again. So these are all great pads, all different styles of pads. Oh yes, and the foam pad, always the foam pad. So you can use it with any type of pad. It's going to clean perfectly every time. And your pads are going to last a lot longer. They're going to stay cooler. And when you pull the Velcro off, your Velcro is going to stay, and it's not going to transfer to the pads because you've cooled your pad. Now, I put my pads away dirty because I know I'm going to clean them every time before I use them. The other thing that it does is it really softens the pad. So you can't feel this over the internet, but there really is a difference in the reaction. And if we were to use the same weight on the pad, and just watch the bounce back. So I'll put the same amount of pressure, lift back, see how quickly this one comes back, whereas this one doesn't. That speed and bounce back gives you a much better user experience. So your polisher is actually going to feel smoother when you're using it. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, please leave them below. You can always subscribe, hit that notification bell, and even share these videos. Thanks for watching.